Hello everyone. In today's session, we will see networking overview, naming method configurations, and Oracle shared server. Let's see objective of the sessions: networking overview, then naming method configurations, then Oracle shared server. In Oracle shared server, we will do Oracle shared server components configuration, architecture, and the components of the Oracle shared server. Next is listener process. The listener is a process running on a node that listens for incoming connections on behalf of a database or a number of databases. The characteristics of a listener are: a listener process can listen for more than one database. Multiple listeners can listen on behalf of a single database for load balancing. The listener can listen for a multiple protocols. The default name of the listener in OracleNet is listener. The name of the listener must be unique per listener.ora file. Now the listener responses. When a connection request is made by a client to the server, the listener will perform one of the three actions. Spans and bequeath connection. The listener passes or bequeaths the connection to a span process. This method is used in dedicated servers only. Direct handoff. The listener will hand off the connection to dispatcher when an Oracle shared server is used. This method is not possible with the dedicated server processes. Redirected connections. A connection may be redirected by the listener to a dispatcher if a shared server is used. Now transparency of direct handoff and redirect. Whether a connection session is bequeathed, handoff, or redirected to an existing process, the session is transparent to the user. It can be detected only by turning on tracing and analyzing the result of the trace file. Bequeath or direct handoff session. The listener may spawn dedicated server processes as connection requests are received and bequeath the connection to the server process. The use of this method is dependent on the ability of the underlying operating system to support inheritance of network endpoints. When the listener forks a dedicated server process and bequeaths the connection to the server process, it is called bequeath session. The following sequence of events will occur. The client establishes a connection to the listener using a configured protocol and sends the listener a connect packet. Listener checks the SID is defined. If it is, the listener will fork or spawn a new process to deal with the connection. A bequeath connection is then established between the listener and the new server process to pass process initialization information. The bequeath connection is then closed. After that, the server process sends the resend packet back to the client. A new connect packet is then sent to the newly forked dedicated server process. The dedicated server process accepts the incoming connection and forwards the accept message back to the client. If because of the operating system or protocols, a connection cannot be passed between two different processes on the same machine, a redirect must take place instead. When a client disconnects, the client's dedicated server process closed. Redirect session. When conditions do not support the establishment of bequeath or direct handoff connection, a redirect session will be established. These steps below outline the mechanisms of the types of connection. The client establishes a connection to the listener using the configured protocol and sends the listener a connect packet. The listener checks that SID is defined. If it is, the listener will spawn a new thread or process to service the new connection. The new process selects a new port from the list of three user-defined ports and passes this information back to the listener. The listener inserts this new port into a redirect packet and sends it back to the client, and the original TCP socket between the client and the listener is then reset. A new TCP connection is established to the redirect address specified in the redirect packet and a connect packet is then forwarded to the dedicated server process. The dedicated server process can now finally accept the incoming connection and forward an accept message back to the client. If redirect session is established with shared server, a new process may not necessarily be spawned as stated in step 2 if there is capacity remaining on the shared server that are running. Now dynamic service registration. An Oracle 11g instance uses service registration to inform the listener about its database services. Service registration relies on the PMON process to register instance information with the listener. PMON also informs the listener about the current state and load of the instance and shared server dispatchers. If Java Virtual Machine is installed, HTTP and IIOP listening endpoints can be registered dynamically with the listener. When an instance is started, initialization parameters about the listeners are read from the init.ora file by which PMON registers information with the listeners. If a listener is not up when the instance starts, PMON will not register information with the listener. PMON will continue attempting to connect the listener. The listener will reject any connection made to an unregistered service. Next is static service configuration. In static service registration, in order for a listener to accept client request from an Oracle 8 or earlier release, the listener.ora file must be configured. The static configuration is also required for Oracle Enterprise Manager and other services such as external procedures and heterogeneous services. Benefits of dynamic service registrations. The listener.ora file does not require the SID_list_listener_name parameter that specifies information on the database served by the listener. This parameter is still required if the management tool we are using requires it. Connect time failover is enabled. Connection load balancing is enabled for the shared servers. The listener.ora file. The listener.ora file is used to configure the listener for static service registration. The listener.ora file must reside on the machine or node on which the listener is to reside. Listener.ora file contains configuration information for the following: the listener name, the listener address, database that uses the listener, listener parameters. The default listener.ora file contains the following parameter: the name of the listener, default name is listener. The address_list parameter contains block of addresses at which the listener listens for the incoming connection. Each of the address defined in this block represents a different way by which a listener receives a connection. The TCP address identifies incoming TCP connections from clients on the network attempting to connect to port 1521. The client uses the port defined in the tnsnames.ora file to connect to the listener. Based on the SID_list defined for the listener specifies the database to which to connect. Please note that it is possible to configure multiple listeners here as long as they have unique names and unique ports on the node where they are configured. Each listener configured will have its own SID_list, but a single database can be serviced by multiple listeners. Next is a listener can listen for more than one database on a machine. The SID_list_listener_name parameter is where these SIDs are defined. The SID list parameter is defined if more than one SID is defined. SID DESC parameter must exist for each defined SID. The Oracle home is where the home directory of the database is defined. This enables the listener to identify the location of the database executable files. The parameter global dname identifies the global database of the name. A name comprised of the database name and database domain. The global database is of the form database_name.database_domain. Consider, for example, oracle.us.acme.com, where the database name portion ORCL is a simple name. The database domain portion us.oracle.com specifies the database domain in which the database is located, making the global database name unique, so that we can obtain the global DB name value from service underscore names parameter in the initialization parameter file. This parameter must be embedded under SID underscore description and should match the value of service underscore names parameter. The SID underscore name parameter defines the name of the SID on behalf of which the listener accepts the connection. By default, an example SID is given in the slide. In this example, every parameter is defined. Next is dynamic service registration. The following init parameter must be configured for service registration to work. Service underscore names for the database service names and instance underscore name for the instance name. For example, service underscore names can be sales.us.oracle.com and instance name can be salesdb. When using a non-default listener, we can force pmon to register with a local listener on the server that does not use TCP IP or use port 1521 by configuring the local underscore listener parameter in the p parameter file as follows. Local underscore listener is equal to listener alias. Listener alias must be resolved to the listener protocol address through a naming method such as tnsnames.aura. Next is listener control utility. The listener control utility enables us to administer listeners. We can use this command to perform basic management functions on one or more listeners. Additionally, we can view and change parameter settings. The basic syntax of listener control utility command is as follows: lsnrctl, then the command name. Where listener underscore, now here with command we can also give the listener name, and it is the name of the listener to be administrator. If no name is specified, then the default name listener is assumed. We can also issue listener control utility command at the listener control prompt. To obtain the prompt, enter lsnrctl with no arguments at the operating system command line. When we run lsnrctl, the program is started. We can then enter the necessary commands from the program prompt. The basic syntax of issuing command from listener prompt will be simple command name. That's it. For a majority of commands, the listener control utility establishes an Oracle NET connection with the listener that is used to transmit the command. To initiate an Oracle NET connection to the listener control utility needs to obtain the protocol address for the named listener or a listener named listener. This is done by resolving the listener name with one of the following mechanisms: listener.aura file in the directory specified by the tns underscore admin environment variable, or listener.aura file in the Oracle home /network/admin directory on Unix operating system. Naming method, for example, a tns name aura file can be: if the listener name is listener and it cannot be resolved, a protocol address of TCP IP port number 1521 is automatically assumed. Listener control commands. Listener control utility supports several types of commands. Operational commands such as start, stop, and so. Modifier command such as set prc underscore level. Information commands such as status, show log file. Operational command such as exit, quit, and help. We can use the set command to alter parameter values for specified listeners. We set the name of the listener we want to administer with the set current listener command. Parameter value remain in effect until the listener is shut down. If we want to save these settings or to make them persistent, we use the save underscore config command to save the changes to listener.aura. We can use the show command to display the current value of a configuration setting. Next is naming method configuration. Let's see overview of these. To connect to a service, clients use a connect identifier in the connection string to connect to service. The connect identifier can be connect descriptor or simple name that maps to a connect descriptor. The connect descriptor contains network route to the service including the location of the listener through a protocol address. Second, database service name or Oracle system identifier, that is SID. A simple name is resolved to connect a descriptor by a naming method. Naming method configuration consists of the following steps. First is select a naming method, map connect descriptor to simple names, configure clients to use the naming method. That's it. Oracle provides 5 naming methods: host naming, local naming, directory naming, Oracle name, and external naming. We will see these one by one. Let's see host naming first. Host naming method requires minimal user configuration. The user need only to provide the name of the host to establish a connection. It eliminates the need to create and maintain the local names configuration file, that is tnsnames.ora. It eliminates the need to understand Oracle names or Oracle Internet Directory administration procedures. Host naming can only be used to identify one SID per node, although the other SIDs can be identified using other naming methods. Multiple global names can be aliased to the same IP address in the host file, and host naming can be used to connect to any of these databases even if they are on the same node. Client-side requirement. If you are using the host naming method, you must have TCP IP installed on your client machine. In addition, you must install Oracle Net Service and the TCP IP protocol adapter. The host naming is resolved through an IP address translation mechanism such as domain name service DNS, network information service NIS, or a centrally maintained TCP IP host file. That means that this should be configured from the client side before attempting to use the host naming methods. Server side requirement. If we are using the host naming method, we must have TCP IP installed on our server as well as on our client. We also need to install Oracle Net Services and the TCP IP protocol adapter on the server side. A listener using the default name listener must be started on the port 1521, and if instance registration is not implemented, the listener.ora file must include the line global_db name is equal to the host name. The host name must match the connection string which we specify from our client. The additional information included is the database we wish to connect. Example of a host naming method. If all our requirements are met on the client and server side, we can issue the connection request from the client, and this connection, SQL plus connection, connects us to the instance test. SQL plus system/manager@stcsun02usoracle.com.
Selecting the host name method. The Oracle Net Configuration Assistant can be used to select the naming method. From command prompt, enter netca and select naming methods configuration option button. Click next to continue. Make sure that host name is listed in the selected naming method window. If other methods are also chosen, make sure host name appears first. Click next to finish. Your changes will be written to the SQLnet.ora file. Advantage of local naming. It provides a relatively straightforward method for resolving service name addresses. Resolve service name across networks running different protocols. Can easily be configured using a graphical tool, and the local naming method requires net services name be stored in the tnsnames.ora file. It is not recommended that this file be edited by hand. However, adding net services name is easy using the Oracle Net Configuration Assistant. We can use Oracle Net Configuration Assistant or Oracle Net Manager to configure local naming. Available naming methods appear in the left-hand window and selected naming methods appear in the right-hand window. By default, local, host name, and Oracle names are pre-selected. If for some reasons local is not already selected, then select it from the left-hand window and press the right-hand arrow to promote it to the selected naming window. Click Next to continue. Your information will be written to the SQLnet.ora file. After selecting local as the naming method, service names can now be configured by selecting the Local Net Service Names Configuration option button from the Oracle Net Services Configuration Assistant. We use the next window to create, reconfigure, delete, rename or test a net service name. In this example, the Add button is chosen. Now specify whether the database or service is Oracle 8i or later. Earlier, Oracle versions require extra configuration on the listener side, while Oracle 8i or 9i databases and services do not. For our database, we must next enter the database service name. Select the network protocol. The network protocol can be used by the connection must now be specified. The protocols available in the Configuration Assistant reflects only those protocols that have been previously installed. Uninstalled protocols are not present in the protocol list presented by the Oracle Net Service Configuration Assistant. Enter the host name and the port number and click on Next. Host name. Enter the fully qualified name of the machine on which the database we want to connect to and communicate with resides. Port number. Enter the port number of the port on which the Oracle Net Listener monitors connection requests to the server. By default, the Configuration Assistant sets the listener port to 1521. If required, an alternative port number can be specified. The connection information can now be tested. Click Yes, perform a test, and then click on Finish to proceed. If the data entered is correct, the connection should be made successfully. If not, the Details window should provide useful diagnostic information to troubleshoot the connection. Please note that the default username used for the connection is Scott. If you have no such user, you should click Change Login and enter a valid username and password combination, then retry the connection. If the connection is successful, click Next to continue. Do not click Cancel because the service information is not yet saved. Now choosing the net service name. Enter a name for the net service name and click on Next. The Configuration Assistant defaults the name to database service name that we entered initially. A more meaningful or descriptive name can be entered if we want. When we select the No Option button and click on Next, the service name is saved by default to the tnsnames.ora file located in the $oracle_home/network/admin directory. The tnsnames.ora file. This file is used to store net service names. The default location is $oracle_home/network/admin on Unix and %oracle_home%/network/admin on NT. The content of the tnsnames.ora is as follows: parameters, then description. my_service.us, net service name and domain name. Description is a keyword for describing the connect descriptor. Descriptions are always specified the same way. Next is address. Address keywords for the address specification. If multiple addresses are specified, use the keyword address_list prior to the address. Protocol specifies the protocols to be used. Host specifies the protocol specific information for TCP/IP, thus host name of the server or IP address. It can differ for another protocol. Then the port. Protocol specifies information for TCP/IP, specifies the port number on which the server-side listener is listening. Next is the SQL.NET ORA file. The SQL.NET ORA file controls the behavior of Oracle Net Service. The default location is Oracle_home/network/admin on Unix and Oracle_home/network/admin on NT. The default location can be overridden by defining the TNS_admin environment variable. The names.directory path parameter controls how Oracle Net Services resolves net service names into connect descriptors. Multiple methods can be represented as a comma-separated list enclosed by parentheses. Net Services attempts to resolve service names using each method, listed working from left to right. Once the naming methods and service names have been configured and tested successfully, we can connect to the server from a client. The following describes common error and how they can be resolved. TNS Aura 12154 could not resolve service name. Causes are Oracle Net Services cannot locate the connect descriptor specified in the tnsnames.aura configuration file. Action can be verify that tnsnames.aura file is in the location specified by the TNS admin. Verify that this file exists and is accessible. In our tnsnames.aura file, verify that service name specified in our connection string is mapped to a connect descriptor in the tnsnames.aura file also. Or you can verify that there are no duplicate copies of SQLnet.aura file. If we are connecting from login dialog box, verify that we are not placing an @ symbol before the connection service name. Next error is Aura 12198, Aura 12203. TNS could not find the path or TNS unable to connect. Causes are client cannot find the desired database. Actions can be verify that we have been correctly entered the service name of the database we want to reach. Service name address parameter in the connect descriptor of our tnsname.aura file are correct. Verify that the listener on the remote node has started and is running. If not, start the listener by using the listener control utility. If we are connecting from a login dialog box, verify that we are not placing an @ symbol before connection description name. Next is Aura 12533. TNS illegal address parameter. Causes can be the protocol specific parameters in the address section of the designated connect descriptor in our tnsnames.aura file are incorrect. So we can take actions like we can check what are the operating system protocol specific keywords. Next error is Aura 12541, TNS no listener. Cause the listener on the remote node cannot be contacted. So we can take actions like verify that the listeners on the remote node has been started. We can check its status with the status command of the listener control utility and start it with the start command if necessary. Oracle shared server. Oracle creates server processes to handle the request of users processes connected to an instance. A server process can either be a dedicated server process where one server process services only one user process, or it can be a shared server process where a server process can service multiple user processes. Shared server processes are a part of Oracle shared server architecture. Dedicated server processes. The user process and server process are separate. Each user process has its own server process. The user and the server process can run on a different machine to take advantage of distributed processing. There is 1-to-1 ratio between the user and server process. Even when the user process is not making a database request, the dedicated server exists but remain idle. The program interface in use here depends on whether the user and the dedicated server processes are on the same machine or not. If they are, the host operating system's inter-process communication (IPC) mechanism is used for program interface between these two processes. The Oracle shared server. The Oracle shared server configuration enables shared servers, dedicated servers, and combined users and servers to exist within the same instance. In an online transaction processing environment, for example, order entry application in which users enter data through an application interface, the server processes could be idle 90% or more of the connected line. Oracle Shared Server improves server efficiency because any server can process an incoming request rather than wait for a specific server to process work on a request. With Oracle Shared Server, we can support many more users than you can in the dedicated server configuration with the same number of servers, because users in the Oracle Shared Server architecture share the server processes, and thus fewer server processes can be configured. Under the Oracle Shared Server architecture, client user processes ultimately connect to a dispatcher. The pmon process registers the location and load of the dispatchers with the listener, enabling the listener to forward requests to the least utilized dispatcher. Service registration does not require configuration in the listener.aura file. A dispatcher can support multiple client connections concurrently. Each client connection is bound to a virtual circuit. A virtual circuit is a piece of shared server memory used by the dispatcher for client database connection, requests, and replies. The dispatcher places a virtual circuit on a common queue when a request arrives. A shared server picks up the virtual circuit from the common queue, services the request, and relinquishes the virtual circuit before attempting to retrieve another virtual circuit from the common queue. Now, the Oracle Shared Server architecture reduces memory usage by reducing the number of server processes required. For example, for 100 users using dedicated server, 100 server processes are required. With Oracle Shared Server, we may need only 10 shared server processes for the 100 users, significantly reducing system storage resources usage. The Oracle Shared Server architecture requires OracleNet services. User processes targeting the Oracle Shared Servers must connect through OracleNet services, even if the user process exists on the same machine as the Oracle instance. When to use a dedicated server? When submitting the batch jobs, connecting as a sysdba to start up, shut down, or perform recovery. For most platforms, if our machine has plenty of memory to support dedicated servers, we should use that configuration. In this situation, performance is likely to be better. There are expectations such as NT, in which performance may improve using the Oracle Shared Server configuration due to the asynchronous nature of the shared server architecture. To request a dedicated server, the clause server is equal to dedicated must be included in the OracleNet TNS connection string. Connecting to an Oracle Shared Server. First process. The listener process waits for any connection request from a user process. When a process requests a connection, the listener determines whether to connect the Oracle process to a dispatcher or assign it a dedicated server process. Second step is, if the configuration allows the user process to connect to a dispatcher, the listener gives the user process the address of dispatcher process. If the user processes request a dedicated server, the listener creates a dedicated server process and connects the user process to it. Third is, once the connection has been established, either through dispatcher or dedicated server process, the connection is maintained for the duration of session. How a request is processed. Number 1. A user sends a request to dispatcher. Number 2. The dispatcher places the request into the request queue in the SGA. 3. A shared server picks up the request from the request queue and processes the request. 4. The shared server process places the response on the calling dispatcher response queue. 5th. The response is handed off to the dispatcher. 6th. Dispatcher returns the response to the user. Once the Oracle user call has been completed, the shared server process is released and is available to the service another user call in the request queue. Request queue. One request queue is shared by all dispatchers. Shared server monitors the request queue for new requests. Requests are processed in first on and first out basis. Shared server places all completed requests on calling dispatcher's response queue. Each dispatcher has its own response queue in the SGA. Users are connected to the same dispatcher for the duration of the session. Next is SGA and PGA. The contents of the SGA and PGA differs when dedicated servers or shared servers are used. Text and past form of all SQL statements are stored in the SGA. Cursor state contains runtime memory values for the SQL statements such as rows retrieved. User sessions data includes security and resource usage information. The stack space contains local variables for the process. One note: the change in the SGA and PGA is transparent to the user. However, if supporting multiple users, we need to increase the large pool size. MTS may force the default value to be set too high, causing performance problem or problem starting the database. Each shared server process needs to assess the data spaces of all sessions so that any server can handle requests from any session. Space is allocated in the SGA for each session's data space. We can limit the amount of space that a session can allocate by setting the private_SGA resource limit to the desired amount of space in the user profile. The various resources affected by Oracle Shared Server can be monitored by querying $sysstat. To configure Oracle Shared Server, we must edit the initialization parameter file for our instance. After setting these initialization parameters, restart the instance, which will then use the shared server configuration. Oracle Shared Server architecture requires Oracle Net Services even if the client and shared server processes reside on the same machine as the Oracle instance. Most of the optional parameters have sensible defaults. On many systems, the only parameter that should be configured is dispatchers. The dispatcher parameter. The database administrator uses the dispatcher parameter to enable various attributes for each dispatcher. Oracle supports a name value syntax to enable the specification of existing and additional attributes in a position independent, case insensitive manner. For example, dispatchers is equal to protocol is equal to TCP and dispatchers is equal to 2. To determine the number of dispatchers, we use this formula. Max_dispatcher specifies the maximum number of dispatcher processes that can run simultaneously. After instance startup, we can start more dispatcher processes if needed. However, we can only start dispatchers that uses protocols mentioned in the parameter file of the database. For example, if the parameter file starts dispatcher for TCP and IPC, we cannot later start dispatcher for protocol DECnet without changing the parameter file and restarting the instance. Adding or removing dispatchers. If the load on the dispatcher process is consistently high, start additional dispatcher processes to route user requests without waiting. We must start new dispatchers until the number of dispatchers equals max_dispatcher. The load on the dispatchers can be monitored using the data dictionary view $circuit and $dispatcher. In contrast, if the load on the dispatchers is consistently low, reduce the number of dispatchers. The following add a dispatchers process where the number of dispatchers were previously 2. Alter system set dispatchers is equal to protocol is equal to TCP IP and dispatchers is equal to 3. We can also use the alter system command to remove dispatchers to the number specified in the dispatchers parameter. If we want to have fewer than that, edit the parameter file and then stop and restart the database. Shared server. Shared server specifies the number of server processes that we want to create when an instance is started up, setting the initial number of shared server processes. The appropriate number of initial shared server processes for a database system depends on how many users typically connect to it and how much processing each user requires. If each user makes relatively few requests over a period of time, then each associated user process is idle for a large percentage of time. In that case, one shared server process can serve 10 to 20 users. If each user requires a significant amount of processing, a higher ratio of server processes to user processes is needed to handle requests. If we want the Oracle database to use shared servers, we must set the shared_server parameters to at least 1. If we omit the parameter or set it to 0, the Oracle database does not start any shared server at all. We can subsequently set shared_servers to a number greater than 0 while the instance is running. It is best to estimate fewer initial shared server processes. Additional shared servers start automatically when needed and are deallocated automatically if they remain idle for too long. Note that the initial servers always remain allocated even if they are idle. If we set the initial number of servers too high, our system might incur unnecessary overhead. Experiment with the number of initial shared server processes and monitor shared servers until we find the ideal system performance for database activity. Now, to modify the number of shared server processes, after starting an instance, we can change the minimum number of shared server processes by using the alter system command. Oracle will eventually terminate servers that are idle when there are more shared servers than the minimum limit we specify. We set shared_servers to 0. Oracle terminates all the current servers. Max shared_servers. It specifies the maximum number of shared server processes that will be allowed to run simultaneously. In general, set this parameter for an appropriate number of shared server processes at times of highest activity. Experiment with this limit and monitors shared server to determine an ideal setting for this parameter. To get the maximum number of servers started, query the data dictionary view v$shared_server_monitor. Virtual circuits are user connections to the database through dispatchers and servers. The circuit parameters specifies the total number of virtual circuits that are available for inbound and outbound network sessions. This parameter is of interest because it is one of several parameters that contribute to the total SGA requirement of an instance. This parameter controls the total number of shared server sessions open concurrently at any point in time. The use of these parameters allows resources for dedicated user session to be reserved. Other parameters affected by Oracle shared server that may be require adjustments are large_pool size, specifies the size in bytes of the large pool allocation heap. Oracle shared server may force the default value to be set too high, causing performance problems or problems starting the database. Sessions specifies the maximum numbers of sessions that can be created in the system, may need to be adjusted for Oracle shared server. Use the large pool to allocate shared server related user global area, not the shared pool. This is because Oracle uses the shared pool to allocate SGA memory for other purposes such as shared SQL and PL SQL procedures. Using the large pool instead of shared pool decreases fragmentation of the shared pool. To store shared server related UGA in the large pool, specify a value for the initialization parameter large_pool_size. To see in which pool the memory for an object resides, see the pool column in the v$SGA stat. If we do not set the value for large_pool_size, the Oracle uses the shared pool. For Oracle shared server uses session memory. Oracle allocates some fixed amount of memory per configured session from the shared pool, even if we have configured the large pool. The circuit's initialization parameter specifies the maximum number of current shared server connections that the database allows. When using Oracle shared server, we should first start the listener, then the database, so that the dispatchers can immediately register with the listener. To verify that a registration has taken place, issue the following command: listener control, after that services, then listener name. Verify your connections are using shared server by making several connections, then query the $v circuit view to show one entry per shared server connection. This also verifies that the listener is performing load balancing for incoming connections. Select dispatcher, circuit, server, status from $v circuit. Next are dynamic views. $v circuit. This view contains information about virtual circuits, which are user connections to the database through dispatchers and servers. $v shared underscore server. This view contains information on the shared server processes. $v dispatchers. This view provides information on the dispatcher process. $v shared server monitor. This view contains information for tuning the shared server processes. $v queue. This view contains information on request and response queues. $v session. This view lists session information for each current session. So this is all about networking and shared server mode of the Oracle. Thank you.